Sure, you can always shop around for flooring, but in the end, it all leads back to the one place you probably should have started, the experts at Carpet One. Save yourself the time and the hassle and let Carpet One help you find the right product at the right price. Beautifully installed, guaranteed. Come see the One, Carpet One, on the Business Loop in Columbia.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, May the 13th. Oh my, this is Friday the 13th. I want to introduce you now to our first Poet Laureate of Missouri, Walter Bargen. Good to have you here, Walter.
Oh, glad to be here, Paul.
And every time you come out here, it seems like the past 2 or 3 times you've been here, we have talked about snakes. Today we are snake-free.
Not quite.
Oh, all right. You're going to read a poem for us. But I'll start off before you read that poem. How many of you have heard the term, it gives me the Heebie Jeebies? That goes back many, many years. Well, yes. Your poem is called the Heebie Jeebies,
correct.
Right?
Yes.
All right, so here's
yes.
Walter Bargen.
I felt compelled to read this poem because I had this experience about 10 days ago. I was digging a grave for a friend's dog, and I discovered that when I was done, I had been bitten by over 60 ticks. I mean ticks that were embedded, not crawling on me. And that caused me to remember that I had written a poem about ticks, and so I thought I would share it with you. It's called the Heebie Jeebies. It's 2 scenes. The first scene is actually at a sidewalk cafe in Columbia, and the second is the experience that my wife had with seed ticks. The Heebie Jeebies. Twice in one day I hear it, not raven rasp, wind whine, or leaf tongue, but this. Mid-morning, sitting at a sidewalk table next to a street where traffic comes in exhausted phrases to the stoplight, and our conversation spreads over the ruin of breakfast. Wadded paper napkins are nervous with gusts, sides of glasses smeared with the calligraphy of condensation. The broad-frilled umbrella weaves a slow-moving shadow across laps and a tabletop. A waitress walks past with a coffee pot looking for shaky lives and finds the visitor from Alabama leaning back in his chair, surgically describing his illness, and how sometimes sitting alone by a window, watching swallows sweep past the golden-domed courthouse, the fading sky draped in dust, silvered Venus threading through, he gets the heebie-jeebies as his skin dissolves into evening. Tonight, the doors and windows of the house open, the frogs and locusts loud. We can hardly hear ourselves in bed repeat the day's tales. Meeting a rattlesnake stretched across the driveway, the neighbor's redbone whelping 5 pups in the far shed, a child who walked off and was lost in the woods, only to be found sleeping in his bed, and how in the garden, her skin felt oddly uplifted, more the brush of silk along her calf and up her thigh, an unrelenting sweet torment, until she looked down to see her legs moving as she stood still, skin clouded with thousands of pin-sized ticks racing toward her blood. It gave her the heebie-jeebies crawling out of a skin not her own.
That gave me the heebie-jeebies listening to it also. But I've had that. I've had that happen where I've had, I know, 40 or 50 ticks on me at once. And those little tiny ones are the worst. Right? You got one more?
I have one more for you.
Okay.
The reason why I wrote heebie-jeebies in some ways is because I heard that phrase twice in one day, and I swear I hadn't heard the heebie-jeebies in decades, and it caught my attention.
Yeah.
And this is a poem that caught my attention because I was receiving the Fayette weekly newspaper, I don't know why, and I noticed that they had fillers at the bottom of the column, and there was a description of a windstorm in a church parking lot. And that was enough for me to create a persona, to write a poem called Harmony Tornado. And this takes place on a Sunday morning, and this is this particular man's description of what happened to him. I was too old to believe it. when the wind started picking up more than candy wrappers and Coke cans. I thought it still had a long way to go, but I could tell it was time to roll up the car windows before rain soaked the seats. I walked down the porch step, mind you, not running, leaving the rest of the congregation standing under the roof. Before I had closed the door to the passenger side of the car, I was face to face with a swirling demon. I yelled, but there was nothing anybody could do. I was sure this was maker meeting time as I bounced from hood to hood, Continental to Chrysler, tossed in the air above the poplars that were growing beside the parking lot, but not anymore, then dropped in the soggy ditch, as if I wasn't good enough. My glasses on the lawn of the house across the street, my Bible next door in the rose bushes, and my wallet 2 blocks away near an overturned mailbox. I guess you could say I was a man about town. When the congregation crawled out from under the heavy oak pews, everyone was shouting, "Miracle, miracle!" All I know is next week, when I attend the Bible Baptist Church, I'm going to pray a lot harder and listen to the Sunday morning weather report.
Now, is this from personal experience?
No, this was just a filler at the bottom of a column in the Fayette newspaper, and I just, it just caught my attention and my imagination, and there was a setting, and so I put a character in the setting, and I started writing to see what would happen. And I really probably should have carried on a subscription to the paper, because I wrote a couple of other poems from those little fillers at the bottom of columns in that newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long ago did you write this?
It's been quite a while. The book that this is out of is called Harmonic Balance. And the conceit is all the poems in it take place in the town of Harmony, which is a mythic town in the Midwest, even though there may be a town named Harmony in the Midwest. And that book was published in 2001, so sometime prior to that.
All right. If people would like to have any of your books, they're available where?
They're available at Barnes & Noble, and they're available at Yellow Dog Books on 9th Street, and there are a few titles that are on Amazon.
Okay, so just put in Walter Bargen, and your books that are on Amazon will come in, or they're available from the trunk of his car if you happen to run into him, right?
Or go to my website. You can contact me through that.
All right.
Both of those poems, though, were from the book Days Like This Are Necessary.
And your website, we're out of time. What is it?
walter.bargen@gmail.com.
Walter Bargen, thank you so much for coming by with wonderful poetry, and you did get a snake in there today.
Yeah, I did. I did.
Melanie Kanaki and Columbia Public Schools Planetarium. Bye-bye.